Всем привет, вы на канале Your и мы продолжаем проходить игру What's Remain of Edith Finch. Это 4-я серия. За эту серию мы должны пройти эту игру. Остановились мы на Гассе, которого убило палаткой, когда он запускал воздушного змея на свадьбе. Так, движемся дальше. Соответственно, стандартно ищем хитрый выход.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Не забываем подписываться на канал, ставить лайки. Также можно оставлять комментарии.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Так, это, я так понимаю, мы у мамы в комнате. Лед в Индию. 10 путей обучения критическому мышлению. Так, мы залезли отсюда.
Religion was another thing my
Библия.
mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Фига, у них как в охотниках за привидениями. Подожди, это я вернулся туда. Я думаю, что-то нет, не все так просто. Так, пойдем назад. Давай, залазь только по-быстренькому. Какая будет следующая игра в прохождении? Пока думаю, наверное, тоже коротенькая для начала. Мы, так сказать, учимся записывать. Учимся все это делать.
My mom moved to India a
Ну,
week after
думаю,
graduation and got a
еще пока
job
балуюсь с
teaching
настройками
English.
ОБС,
Lewis was
я
born a
думаю,
year
это решится
later.
вопрос.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
Кто-то у нас здесь сажал.
The house had to get a
или
little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
расширить вот эту башню,
And for a while,
строить.
things were good. Almost normal.
Видок, конечно, я вам скажу.
But it didn't last.
Так, идем дальше.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Типа его личный замок.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Это который пропал, которого разыскивают.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
Красиво. Едем вниз. А, вверх. Фига себе. Здесь у каждого свой некий какой-то алтарь.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Напишите в комментариях, какую игру вы хотели бы увидеть. Следующий. Мы постараемся ее пройти. Я в детстве такие штуки рисовал тоже. На тетрадке. Типа в нарисованную дверь ушел.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Так.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Так, куда нам дальше? Я недопонимаю. Так. Где у нас дальше? А, вот там и выше. Все, понял. Пошли. Ну, солнечную погоду здесь, наверное, очень красиво. Так, интересно, куда мы идем дальше? Отсюда мы вышли, значит, наверх. Какие-то стрёмные лесенки. Так, не застревай.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Это который лососем поставлял. Так. Я думаю, нам вот сюда. Кальян у него.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on. Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Wonderland Turbo. Карта сохранения от Соньки первой. Геймпада смесь Соньки первой с Денди. Смысл. О, и ПКшечка даже был. С 2 мониками. Ты что, прям это... Пивасиком баловался, какими-то таблетосами, ужас.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about.
Одновременно двумя руками.
Bats and toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Давай внимание, блин. И лосось поймать. Голову отрубить и сюда идти. С РПГ.
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis.
Получается, я мышкой режу рыбу, а на вас
So I
хожу
let him
здесь
go on.
по лабиринту, поэтому куда-то иду.
I even encouraged him.
То есть это
It
лабиринт
seemed
его
very
разума.
promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Ой. Задумался. Так, то есть нам... Сюда мы можем пройти? Нет?
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick.
Что-то странное
Then he
вообще.
made musicians.
И танцоров.
And songs for them to play.
Вот это его
He talked about
плющит.
starting a band,
Создал группу. Какую группу?
and he was always humming something.
Странный какой-то чувак. Где? А, вот. Я заблудился. Слишком
Every day
много.
his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination.
Да ладно,
So
все
he
в
could do
его
whatever he
воображении.
wished.
Ну, естественно, может делать, что пожелает.
He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Как говорят. Фейерверк где?
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
То есть у него такие
He'd conquer a
жесткие
city,
эти...
then immediately
в
push
реальности
on.
воображения, прошу прощения.
New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
То есть уплывал.
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
Да. Ну, нам за принцессы же,
handsome queen.
правильно? Или я что-то не понимаю. Ну, как бы мужчина, он должен за принцессой плыть, не?
The queen was on her own quest for
Ну, принцесса должна искать лучезарные радуги. А, или он... Я думал, я за принцессой поплыл. Ну, короче, по радуге. Господи.
He followed the sound of her
Что за электрогитарой пошел?
electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon.
Ну, целая сказка.
Even then, his logic remained sound.
Так, принцесса туда, мы
He
за
knew the world
принцессой.
was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it.
Так, у нас есть
In his own eyes,
оружие.
he'd become something greater than a king.
Да, господи, я устал трюк туда мотать.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the
То
steps
есть
of a golden
полностью
palace.
перешел воображение. По-моему, болезнь какая-то такая есть. Или это реально
My
товарищи, которые...
imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Ну, то есть полностью ушел в себя. Так, это он, получается, с завода выходит. Залипательная штука.
Began to
Приставка.
forget the world we know.
О, Господи, что, как столько?
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
А, это вот он стоит у конвейера, получается. Странный чувак.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
А, то есть вот эта штука. Все, он завис.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
То есть все, ушел полностью в себя. И на конвейере, куда ему интересно
Including the
закинет.
insisted on inviting me.
Ну что, дальше нас не везут, нужно пешком. Так, хотя вот принцессе, если я принцу поплыл бы, что было бы? Что, туда?
As Queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
Взять корону и навсегда уйти в себя. Да. Ну, я думаю, сегодня мы это пройдем.
Down
И
his head.
осталось чуть-чуть. Угу, на плаху склонить голову. Игра в среднем за 2 часа проходит. Вот 3
The
серии.
rest I think you know.
4.
Mrs. Finch, your son, was a
4.
kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Ну, так я не понял. Он там
My
у
brother
себя
was
в голове
really
умер.
cool. I wish you could have met him.
Да. Печальная история. Печальная семейка. И поднимаемся на самый верх. Не-не-не-не-не. Нет. Зачем? Вернись. Назад. Вернись. Я не хотел сюда. Так, и погнали на самый верх. Блин, а я ветром не сдувал их? А, самый верх дороги нет. Чё, куда, кого? Непонятно. Подожди. Давай еще раз глянем. Может, я что-то здесь упустил? Где-то проход есть выше. Вот, точно. Я так понимаю, на самой верхушке наш
On my way back from Lewis's
приключение
funeral,
закончится.
my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed.
Что это за...
But I understand why we left.
А это чьи апартаменты?
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Что за наполнитель-то? Я что-то не понял. А, это для упаковки. Все, понял. Я думал,
What
собачий
happened that
корм.
night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
А, это ее комната. Все.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
to our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Ели только корейскую еду. Ничего не готовили. Странно все это. Так, в коридоре лежит подарок. Пошли смотреть.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance, or that Edie had a key to it.
Сколько здесь лабиринтов в этом доме?
The thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
То есть бабульку хотят в пансионат отправить. История Финча и Бай. Написанная Эдди Финч.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out.
Так, что там? Отлив идти надо? Ну, пойдем. Типа мы за бабульку играем теперь.
It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean.
Вот это
They
жутко.
called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
Нам же сюда. Правильно?
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
А зачем туда идти?
I got turned around.
В тумане. А вдруг прилив? Ой, как-то это уж криповенько.
For a while, I wondered. I started seeing things.
Лень.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
Кроватка.
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me.
Это все из дома высыпалось, что ли?
Or maybe
О,
I
жуть,
came back
жуть,
to
жуть,
them.
жуть. Да. Да. Да, мы с бабулькой играем.
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go. I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone.
Что, меня в багажнике везут, что ли?
After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it.
Опять мышкой надо елозить.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone.
То есть
The
она
last
одна из
Finch
семьи
left
осталась.
alive.
Да. Последняя из Финчей.
Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is.
Что за... Что, должен родиться?
This journal was supposed to be for you.
А, она же беременная была. Или
But now I
нет?
hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Ну, 18 лет, а это ее сын, получается. От кого она беременна? Непонятно. Достаточно странная история. Так, это, как я понимаю, титры. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал. Думаю, игра закончилась, и мы увидимся с вами в прохождении следующих игр. Если есть пожелания, пишите в комментариях, оставляйте их свои пожелания. Какую игру вы хотели бы увидеть? С вами был Your Day. Пока-пока.